I've seen very few counties that talked about tax liens, tax deeds, bulk sales, forfeited lands, all that in one. And obviously, a lot of people are interested because this is a highly searched county.
Hey, are you considering participating in the Summit County, Ohio tax lien auction? Well, today, Ted Thomas, who is, of course, the tax lien and tax deed certificate authority, is going to break down that auction process, share some tips, and basically answer a lot of questions that all you guys have sent in. You know, you always talk about researching things, Ted, so this is a good question because they're asking, what department should I be researching to search the property records? Like, how do they get to the property records in Summit County, Ted?
Before I tell you where to do the research, I want to tell you Summit County is in the northern part of Ohio, but a county north of that is Cuyahoga County or Cleveland. And I'm not giving anybody this information because I'm just guessing or reading a piece of paper. I have personally been to the Cleveland auction, and I can tell you the east side of Cleveland is bread and butter, and the west side of Cleveland is some pretty darn wealthy people, even today, and it has been that way for 100 years. But this county is unique in that it's a bedroom community, and what you need to do is you need to start out with the Summit County property records. Then the next thing you need to do is research the county tax assessor, so Summit County tax collector. And then finally, you want to go to the Summit County appraiser. So you want to go to all of those sites and research what they're going to tell you. And there's a lot of information there. I mean, you're not going to do this research in 10 minutes. You're going to take some hours. In preparation for this video, I had to read it and reread it because I've seen very few counties that talked about tax liens, tax deeds, bulk sales, forfeited lands, all that in one. And so there's a lot to learn about Summit County. And obviously a lot of people are interested because this is a highly searched county. It's more people search this county than do Cleveland. I don't know why, because the action is all in Cleveland and Franklin County.
Well, Ted, Rosalie, she has family in Ohio, and she's wondering, do you think I should invest in tax deeds or tax liens there? Why or why not?
Nothing matters what I think, okay? I'm just a person trying to teach people what's going on. I would go investigate and see if you feel comfortable. Now, here's what's going to be the easiest thing for you to do, and you'll make up your own mind in a second, okay? Don't buy anything that you haven't seen. If you haven't seen the tax defaulted property, and when you go to Akron, which is Summit County, you're going to get an education. You probably will not walk around without a German Shepherd. All right. Or if you're going to buy a tax lien certificate, you wouldn't want to buy one if it was in a bad area. So take your German Shepherd and check that out too.
Well, Victor wants to know, and let's assume that Victor's already taken a look at some property, maybe is interested. What advice can you give Victor if he wants to attend this year's tax lien auction in Summit County, Ohio? And this may come down to the actual process, Ted, of what goes on during the auction.
Okay, I don't know that my advice is worth a darn. I'm an educator, and I would tell Victor that go look at the property. You'll be able to make a decision very quickly. If your eyes are working and you can see, you'll make up your mind right away. The one thing that you want to do is you want to look at what you're going to buy. Now, I jokingly say this, but it's true. The ladies would never marry the guy without looking at him. Now, men are a little bit more desperate than women. They might marry you without looking at it. But I'm going to tell you, don't buy a tax lien or a tax deed without looking at it. And so you can make up your own mind once you've done that, and you won't have any trouble. It's the best advice I could give you.
This last question comes from Lewis, and he said, I couldn't buy tax liens at the upcoming auction in Ohio due to high starting bid. But I'm curious if the starting bid for the tax deed auction is just as high, or is it just the back taxes?
Well, generally speaking, at an auction, the taxes are going to be the very baseline of what they want to ask. Now, the treasurer is the one that's doing the selling at an auction. So the treasurer is going to establish the price. I would venture to say, at least my opinion would be, in a county like Summit where they're trying to get money in, the treasurer would start the auction at very close to the back taxes to encourage you to buy. Now let's review that a little bit. Let's say the property had $100,000 value and the taxes were $2,000. They would probably start it closer to $2,000. However, that doesn't keep the treasurer from saying, I want to start the bid at $3,000 or $4,000. But they could start it higher than that. But the point is, the treasurer wants to collect the money. They're in the business of collecting money. And what you're in the business of is buying as low as possible so you have margin. It's a margin. All we're teaching with tax liens, tax deeds is a business where you buy better margin than you would in the regular real estate market.
Well, listen, I just want to thank everybody who's sending questions and remind everybody, if there's a question that wasn't answered about Summit County or any other county, leave in the comments below, because Ted knows a little thing or two about all the counties. And if you're wondering, how would I even know that there's an auction going on in some other county in some other state?
All right, so how are you going to know about that? Well, what you could do is you could do what many people have done for decades, is you could call the local newspaper and they would send you a list of all the tax properties. All right, can you imagine doing that for 3,000 properties? Well, when I started, and I'll give you a couple of examples of this, when I started, I had to call and wait for the newspaper to come and then decide whether I wanted to go there. Well, can you imagine if you called 3,000 counties? You would fill your house up with newspaper. All right, so over the years, we learned to narrow it down, make a lot of phone calls. You could find information out that way. Then the internet came about, and that really saved us a lot of, because now you could go online, so it would be on the county website and it would be in the newspaper. All right, well, researching 3,000 county websites is a big job too. So what we finally did is we created an auction calendar. So just think about an auction calendar. Think about a calendar of the United States, and we can take you to every county in the United States and tell you when the tax auction is going to take place and how many properties. And then if you want to go into the county records, you can even do that. So that particular demo of that is right below me. It's free. You can see the demo.
Take Ted up on that offer. It's right there in the description column. Click on it and take a look at it. And be sure to watch us next time. Thanks for watching.